What up, everyone? We are back with another Real Bucks Talk live stream. It's Monday, so that means we're back talking some football. And Mark, we got my man Mark, my co-host, as always. How are you doing?
Always good. It's always good to
Good.
talk Bucs football, and I'm still riding that wave of Super Bowl feeling.
Yeah. And as you guys can see, we're joined by a very special guest, a good friend of ours, Ken Barrett. How are you doing, my man? It's awesome to have you finally on our show and ready to talk some football.
Oh yeah, it's nice to be on this side of things. Generally, just me and Gene chumming it up, and then Mike just joining. But now, I get to hang out with Mark for the first time, and really chumming up with you all. And obviously, y'all have some great breakdowns you all are doing, and I'm excited to talk football with both of you.
Awesome. Well, before we get started into the football, I mean, Ken, just give a little background of yourself. I mean, talk a little bit about, just your fandom of the Buccaneers and like what you've been up to over the, last couple of years through this time. And now just, a little speak on, the championship, being champions. I mean, how does that feel?
I mean, let's start with fandom first before we get it. Let's end with the good stuff.
Yeah.
To those of you who don't know, I did play college football. I actually played high school football over in Tampa at Berkeley Prep. Played with Nelson Aguilar. Got to experience some really good times. Only played 1 year of high school football before playing football in college at Bucknell. Right around the time I committed is when Greg Schiano became the Bucs head coach. And he actually went to Bucknell, so there was a lot of familiarity and a lot of stuff going on. And unfortunately for Greg, obviously things didn't work out. But when he didn't coach the Bucs, he was actually coaching at Berkeley.
Hmm.
So when I helped coach during the summers, and then after my graduation, he was even still there when he was like an assistant for the Patriots and stuff in Ohio State. Like he wasn't working full time at that point. And he was still working at the school. I learned a lot from him, learned a lot about football. And what I tell people is I really didn't love football until I got to college. It's a full-time job. I played baseball and basketball. Michael and I have talked about this off camera, but there's not a lot of scholarship money in baseball. And so that's when I dipped my toes in football. There's a lot of money out there, a lot of really good scholarship opportunities. So once I actually got to college, the first couple months were hard, but then I really enjoyed it. And then unfortunately, injuries happen. Baseball player had shoulder injuries going into college. That didn't work out. Was able to, though, in order to, pay off my scholarship in a sense. What I did was I was like an assistant coach, worked in the film room, helped with, recruiting and, looking at high school tape. So, when people say like, you can't really make it, it's not enough hours in the day. I'm someone who never thought I'd, write about sports. That's what I originally did. My fiance actually is the one who told me to get a Twitter account. I quit using Twitter like 4 years ago. Just never used it, never talked sports, only with like friends and, close, confidants and everything like that. Always thought like people didn't agree with me for the most part, but as soon as I got a Twitter, got on there. Peter Plank actually reached out to me. It's funny how the world comes full circle. So I was able to write and then leverage that to get on a co-host job with Gene, at Buck What You Heard, and love talking more than I do writing. In general, you can just do so much. I mean, what you both do with your videos, obviously, sometimes when it comes to just writing, it's hard to articulate all of that, work and, nuance into dummy down into specific words because it takes a lot of, time, effort, and really just being in the game, getting the lingo, learning the different kinds of systems and everything that there is out there. So hopefully Gene, keeps me on for the long term because right now I'm 1-for-1 on years with podcasts with him in a Super Bowl.
There you go.
I joined the Trevor Sikkema bandwagon. I was a teacher down in Florida after graduation, moved up to North Carolina. And ever since the Rays, the Bucs, the Lightning, everyone's just gone up. So I made a deal with everyone in Tampa that I will not be in Tampa during any playoff scenario. I was in Tampa when the Rays lost to the Dodgers in the World Series, visiting family, and then was in town for like holidays and stuff. But thankfully, there's no real holidays to be around in January, February. So I'll be in North Carolina for every playoff scenario going on. But seeing the Bucs win a Super Bowl, man, I was 9 years old when they won the first one. I actually, some cool story. Rich Bisaccia's daughter was in my grade and at the same school as me. So he was able to bring a bunch of players and stuff. And around 8, that was when I probably became a Bucs fan in general. Like a year or two before that Super Bowl, I loved like Mike Allstott, loved, any sort of, the game was different, 18 years ago. John Lynch, all that hard hitting, roughhousing, hated Warren Sapp as a person. Like if you talk to anyone, who plays basketball in the Tampa Bay area, Warren's been around for a long time playing basketball for many years. So my dad is really good at basketball. So I was able to, see him and, see him at a young age. And, I wasn't into that, but so many, wealth and knowledge that I've learned from so many people. I'm guesting on this pod. I've guested on other podcasts for multiple teams, NFL draft. So it's always fun to be able to talk about this. But now every time I'm on for the next year, Super Bowl winning, podcaster,
There you
go. I mean, it's crazy how everything worked out. Everyone knows that I have a Byron Leftwich affiliation of hatred. Didn't like the way he called plays, but then he comes out and calls probably the best Super Bowl game plan any coach has probably ever called in any game as a Bucs coach. So, I mean, hats off. I hope they figured out everything. But it's just great to just take it in. I don't think it's still even sunk in yet. When I look at these prospects, like we're going to talk about draft and stuff, I mean, it's hard to play that game in your head. Oh, do I want to take that guy to help us this year? Or do I want that guy to, in 2 years, 3 years from now, be able to be at a Pro Bowl, all pro kind of caliber player? And I think that's the fun game that we're all going to have in the next couple of weeks until the draft kicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great story, man. And it, I mean, how about like, what do you think? Were you better at football or were you better at baseball?
Well, I'll let you all let Brett Phillips answer that question for you. Okay. He's been in my Twitter hyping me up for how I was as a baseball player growing up. I think it's one of my pinned tweets. Awesome. Baseball was my sport growing up. Know people like Lance McCullers, RIP Jose Fernandez. These were all the people on my travel teams. But injuries happen no matter what happens. And the fact that I'm 6'7" and I was able to leverage that into, yes, I had to gain some weight, learn offensive line, which is not an easy position. No. Let me tell you, if you watch my high school highlights and then go look at Nelson's, senior year highlights, you'll see some mistakes by me. Let me tell you, I'm one to tell you, but there's a lot that, goes into the offensive line position. So I was really proud of all the work that I put in and was able to leverage that into a starting role in college for a year.
It's all a glass of water, my man.
Yeah.
You go on those 10-minute walks. You got to stretch those legs out.
Dude, this whole COVID life, I don't get up these days that much. I have to, like we said pre-show, I have to force myself up, take some walks, get out.
Wow. No, I can't tell that behind a camera. I mean, damn.
Yeah, I can't get a standing desk because it's hard to find one that even goes up that supports it.
Right. I wouldn't even want to ask how much that would be either way, but
no, the worst part of it's planes. That's all I can say. Planes are the worst part about being tall.
Yeah.
I'm average height. I can still barely fit in a plane. But yeah. But I guess let's talk some Bucs news then. So
let's do it.
Everyone was all in the chat. First things first, Giovanni, sir. So there's a whole bunch of Gios. Obviously, I'm like, who's Gio? Who's this guy? I know who it is. Let's just go over the best stash in the league, Giovanni Bernard. Let's check him out. So he signs a 1-year deal to play with old Tom Brady, the old GOAT. He's only 29. Last year in 10 games started. There's nothing crazy with his numbers. 416 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. And then receiving, this is where he's going to be utilized here in Tampa Bay. So he had 47 catches, 355 yards, almost 8 per catch, 3 touchdowns. So where do you see him fitting in? I mean, again, we talked about this live stream. What do you see at the end? I mean, look at who we have: Lenny Fournette, Lombardi Lenny. We have Ronald Jones, who people think he should be the lead dog. He should be getting every carry. And then you have some saying, "Oh, he can't catch a damn ball." And now you get a guy who can catch the ball, Giovanni Bernard, the stash. I mean, and then you have Keyshawn Vaughn. So you're loaded there. And then the question of running back in the draft. So we're pretty loaded at running back. What do you think of Giovanni Bernard coming on to the Buccaneers?
He might be the oldest 29-year-old I've ever seen, because I feel like I've been using Gio in fantasy for like 10 or 15 years now. He's that like PPR guy. You threw out his numbers. I mean, he's like James White in the sense he's not gonna break the world rushing the ball. That's not what he's here for. What's nice about Gio is, over even, let's say, James White, I think he offers a little bit more in the pass protection realm, which overall, that's what Bruce Arians wants. He wants that probably even more so than a guy who can catch. And thankfully, Gio can do both. He is not a guy, though, to lean first and second down in the running game. He is third down, 2-minute situation. Anyone who owned Joe Mixon in, let's say, a fantasy league last year knows Gio, when pushed into a starting role, he can't handle that. But when you have guys like even Keyshawn Vaughn, you mentioned, Lenny and Rojo, both guys capable of running between the tackles pretty well. Keyshawn offers that little bit of, like Leonard, like a little bit of both, running the ball and catching. But, Vaughn had a rough rookie year. There's no two cents about it. I just watched the Chicago Bears game right before this podcast. I've watched each game probably 16 times now, so I pretty much know each game in and out. But when Vaughn makes that fumble, it was right before the half. He basically got blindsided. Brady probably should have just ate that pass. He also had another fumble later in the year where he basically, he was that close to the ground before the ball got knocked out. I mean, he dealt with COVID as a rookie in the preseason. He also flashed too. I mean, he had some really good plays in the Chargers game. He wasn't asked to do that much, but in a second year, he's also an older running back. He's 24, 25. So he's around even the same age of kind of like what Rojo is. He's a guy who's very mature. If he's your number 4 running back, I think you're okay. And I know we might not be taking a running back at 32. I think right now, if you were, it's Najee or bust at this point. I don't think you need ETN. I don't think you even need Javonte Williams at this point.
Later. That's we'll touch on that just yet. That's a whole other segment.
Okay, I'll end it there then.
All right. So, Plus, what do you think of Gio? Oh, and also, didn't he fumble in the Washington game, the playoff game?
Yeah, I think that's what Ken was mentioning. Yeah.
Well, he also did in the Bears game as well.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah.
Right before the half, it was 13-7 on like the 25-yard line, and then Foles next pass throws into the end zone, makes it 14-13 after we were up 13-0 with like a minute 30 left.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Gio Bernard, I think it's a smart, veteran pickup. Again, he's a guy that he can come in, he can catch the football, he can get first downs. I think he's basically an upgrade over LaShawn McCoy and what they wanted from him. And I think he's just going to add another element. He can be that pass protector, like Ken said, on third downs if need be. So I think he'll be very comfortable in this offense, and I think it's a good addition.
Yeah, my thing is, will he be used as much as LaShawn McCoy was, which is like damn near nothing?
Nothing. I think his usage rate, I think will be, it's just depending on the situation. I mean, how they, how the other running backs play as well. I think that's going to be a big factor. If Rojo takes that next step and he's better in pass protection and he's more consistent catching the football, then he's got an opportunity to really, take the higher percentage of snaps. It's going to be competition. I really think there's no spot given. We're just going to have to wait and see. But it can't hurt to add a guy like Gio Bernard, who is, at least what you're getting from him. He's consistent. He can catch the ball. He can pass protect, run it if need be as a change of pace back. So yeah, I like the room. I like the 4 backs that they have now.
Oh, no doubt. You look at Rojo's first year, how bad that was. People thought he was a bust. And then his second year, third year, look what he turns into. We're not saying that's what Keyshawn Vaughn's going to turn into. I can easily tell you, I think all of you agree, Keyshawn Vaughn's hands are way better than Rojo's will ever be. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
just,
mean, y'all had the best source ever a couple weeks ago with Max Brown. I mean, he told you flat out, Rojo can't catch. I mean, he's made strides, and he spent think about that. He spent years working on that, and Rojo kind of still is where he's at.
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, he's a great athlete, great at what he does, running the ball.
He's a great runner of the ball.
Yeah.
It's a difference between him and Lenny. Him and Lenny running the ball, I don't even want to compare.
Mhm.
It was gross. The season, it was just gross to see. But yeah. Okay, so with that, yeah, and a lot of people were saying, like you were touching on, Gio adds pass protection and really good hands. Yeah, like you said, situational back. Let's see, with all the injuries. I mean, Fournette was hurt how long last year? Then Rojo with his finger. I mean, you never know. You never know when you need a running back like that.
And I think in terms of usage, I think you'll see a little bit more than McCoy, but McCoy was also featured in a couple games. Like Minnesota, for instance, that game was LaShawn McCoy's best game of the year. And then early on in that Saints game, week 1, he was featured a little bit more than what he was probably aiming or supposed to, the coaching staff was aiming to do. So Gio, I think he's just going to have that role. If the Bucs are up 14-0 early, which I mean, unless BA or Leftwich wants to call play action more often in the first quarter, but if the Bucs are up early, I mean, Gio might not play, which is a great problem to have. So Bucs run the ball early. I don't think this is going to be that explosive on an offense from a week-to-week basis. I think they're going to run the ball down a lot of people's throats, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to help us stay healthy.
Man. Yeah, very well. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a hot take. I think they very well could be a much better running team than they were last year. I think the offensive line gelling, being back as, pretty much the starting five is going to be back. I mean, Kappa most likely will return as a starter. And you hope his game takes another level like it did last year. Same with the rest of the group. Tristan Wirfs getting better. I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, he can get better. So it's just crazy.
Imagine if he does.
Oh my goodness.
My God.
He's an all-pro last year. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more he can do, but he can get stronger and bigger always. I think that's a possibility. So
I think that was my biggest thing I learned from the draft last year. Plus is when we're looking at the draft, mine last year is I wanted tackle, but I wanted someone who could replace Donovan Smith. Sometimes you just don't need that. Just fill in holes with really good players. The Bucs don't have any holes right now, but you can still add some really good players.
Oh yeah,
do that.
No doubt. And I think that's what they're going to do. And Mark, before we go on to like the next topic, let's just like end this now. Let's end the debate. All right, Ken, help me out to end this. If the Bucs take Landon Dickerson at 32, that's a great pick, right? That's a great pick.
I fucking love you. Plus. Let me tell you, I like Landon.
Mark is not all about it. He
okay, Mark, allow me to help you a little bit. So I didn't like Landon Dickerson. I mean, okay, I liked him, but I didn't love him at 32. He has the ACL. But did you watch Alabama's pro day at all?
Did he even do
this man was doing flips and handsprings in the background. Yeah. This man is athletic AF. He can play minimum 3 positions on the offensive line. If Kappa does what Pless is talking about and has a really good year, sorry, he's getting priced out. We can't play 4 $10 million linemen. That's just simple as that. And if, Jensen were to leave, you kind of have 2 holes there as well. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to work out. And Dickerson, if you put on the 2019 tape, I mean, he's a stud. And from everything I hear, he loves football. I mean, he's kind of like a Najee in terms of the interview game. That's the only thing about Najee that's pushing him over the top for me in terms of at least considering him. Like when you tell basically Todd McShay to like go F off, I mean, you're A in my book. That adds you a whole nother letter grade to your final grade. But Dickerson just is one of those guys that, I mean, I think he's a better version of what Ryan Jensen can offer in the long term as a center. And I think he has the flexibility to play a very good guard in the NFL. He's kind of like the opposite of what Ali Marpet is. I think center is his natural position, whereas guard was Ali's natural position. But Dickerson, if you put him at guard, I think he can play adequate and probably better than what Jensen even played last year when he filled in again the Panthers game when what's his face was at center, is now a coach. Blanking about his name.
Shipley. Yeah.
Shipley, when AQ was playing center. I think he can offer a lot. Again, that comes down to, are you playing the long game or are you playing the short game? I think Dickerson could be at least, an 8 to 10 year starter in the NFL at center. But it depends kind of how you feel about Jensen. If they're going to give him a Donovan Smith extension, I'm not sure you do it. I think you go for one of those tackles who can play guard and then just kind of play the Earl Watford game at center is kind of how I would mentally attack it. But in terms of a prospect, Dickerson is Pless said that to me a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever he was on with us and Gene. And he flipped a switch on me. So shout out to you, Pless.
Thank you. Case closed. All right, Mark, let's go on to the next topic.
No. So before we do this, if you want to know more, we have a film study of him. Everyone in the chat, check him out. But let's start with this. This is my takeaway really quick. In 5 college football seasons, Dickerson suffered 4 season-ending injuries. 4 out of 5. So we're going to assume 4 out of 5 seasons he's going to get hurt. That's almost every season. So be honest. Tore ACL in 2016, missed 9 games. Forced a red shirt by an ankle injury in 2018, another torn ACL in 2020. So you're going to tell me you can take a guy that's that injury prone that often with your first round pick?
And to me, I think it's the ACLs that are the problem. And I think that's why he would be available at 32. And Mark, you're completely correct. I mean, that was one of my biggest holdoffs as well. To me, though, when it comes to him basically allowing to sit him for a year, kind of helps that, not in terms of making him, magically healthy, but giving him a time to make sure he builds muscle, is able to become a little bit more agile, protect himself like a little bit more. I think he's going to have better play around him that would be able to help him. Because Alabama offensive line's okay and all, but it's more so their tackles that are studs when it comes to Alabama. So, there's give and there's take. Like I said, there's so many guys that I'm the edge guy. I want edge at 32. I want someone who can replace JPP and, go with check, be a 3-man crew, maybe, 4 down lineman, kick JPP inside, be creative with your rush. Heck, even if I always forget his name, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, if somehow he's there, imagine that guy being your slot, overhang, extra linebacker, sub package, like King, doesn't allow you to play as much Sean Murphy Bunting, maybe get him a little bit more on the outside. I think you just need to find someone who's either going to play right away and have a clear and concise role, or you have to play the long game in terms of, I'm going to read off some. We have Chris Godwin, JPP, Ryan Jensen, Ndamukong Suh, Rob Gronkowski, Will Golston, Leonard Fournette, OJ Howard, Ronald Jones, Aaron Stinney, Kevin Minter, even though he's a backup, Carlton Davis, Alex Kappa, Jordan Whitehead. There's a lot of really good players that, are going to be free agents. And, you can't bring, I think even more so than next year than this year, you can't bring everyone back. That's going to be ridiculously hard. So I actually did a mock draft for Bucs Report with Evan. And what I called it my replacements edition is, who are you going to draft to maybe save $8 million, $9 million on Ndamukong Suh next year? Who are you going to draft to save that 10 to 12 million of JPP next year? Who are you going to draft to save that 8 to 10 million for Alex Kappa next year? And I think Landon Dickerson at the end of the day would help you save that 8 to 10 million on Alex Kappa. But again, I'm so open at 32, except for the running back position, which we'll obviously get to at some point. I'm not even if the right quarterback's there, I don't think you take Mon. I don't think you take Trask. If the Bucs do that, I'm kind of out in terms of, okay, this guy isn't even going to see the field for 2-3 years, if that. I don't think the Bucs are going to do that. So, with the exception of quarterback and running back, heck, if they even took a Rondale Moore, I'm not going to be mad. So, there's so many ways the Bucs can go about it, and I think at the end of the day, I would be okay. But if they take Jalen Phillips at 32, we're going streaking. I'm going to be super excited. I'm going to be Will Ferrell from old school. I'm just going to be super ecstatic. I just don't think Jalen Phillips is going to be there. But there's so many ways and you don't know who's going to fall too. Jalen Phillips has his own, concussion history. He quit football for the 6 months or a year.
Mm.
Or he pulled
So,
around.
I mean,
Yeah.
it all depends on who's there. Just be happy if they get a good guy at 32,
Right.
which if all these quarterbacks are going to go, I think someone's going to be there. And I think we're all going to be happy at the end of the day.
But anyway,
long-winded.
Uh-oh. Did
Anyway.
I open another can of worms?
The mute button. I'll hit it right now. So Landon Dickerson, fantastic player. Fantastic. I love it. Tenacity. You're right. Jensen, in a nutshell, possibly could be better. I don't know. I mean, Jensen does a pretty damn good job. But yeah, I'm not going to take him first round. Second round, okay. But even that, like, I would take
What
him.
if the Bucs traded up from the second round into, let's say, the middle or beginning of second round? What if they moved up?
I'm okay with that because actually, plus we did that in
Yeah.
the mock draft recently.
Well,
Yeah, I think he should go around like the 40-ish range just because of his injury.
1 second.
That's me personally.
1 second. I didn't say we were exactly taking a guy at 32. I think we're going to trade out of the pick. And if we do trade out of the pick and trade down, then Landon Dickerson, he's got to be that guy.
Here's the discussion for you all that a lot of people aren't talking about. You guys are great football minds, so I want to hear your opinions. If you trade out of 32, let's say you trade back, what is 2021's third round and fourth round picks that you're going to get for that pick really going to do for you? I think the move is to trade up in round 2 or 3, because I don't think there's going to be that many roster spots for 8 draft picks in general. And, light with the exception of Scotty Miller, not really doing much on day 3. Let's just be real. And even then, take some skill guys, and you just take guys who can be special teams players at that point. So I think if you're going to get, top 50, top 60 picks, I think if you can get 3 of them, I think that's a win. So whoever it may be, my biggest fan, if you're going to trade down, I want a 2022 second round pick. So I want what the Colts got a couple of years ago for Dwayne Haskins. I want, even if that's to let's say New England's pick, let's say Kyle Trask fell and that was their guy. They preferred him over Mac Jones and they want the 5th-year option. I mean, that's the type of deal that Belichick would do. And I mean, I want the 2022, like I said, second round pick more than I want a 2023 third, for instance. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for either. I'm good if they want to trade up, like you said. I mean, you do have a max roster, so if you want to maximize getting a top talent and you see a guy that's falling, maybe it's a Jalen Phillips at 26 and you didn't go up and go get him, I'm good with that. If they do trade down, then I'm okay, getting extra picks and then using those picks to move back up, whether it's into the second round or third round, and maximize it that way. So it's really all options are on the table. I just love Landon Dickerson. I'm sorry to give you guys a hard time, but I think he would be an excellent pick. Screw the injuries. I don't care about it. I think he's going to be fine. OJ Howard's injured every year and, we talk about him too. So it's whatever.
Well, I think the 5th-year option is key for him in the sense that, think about it like OJ and Vita, because they weren't Pro Bowl caliber players. They're not going to get the escalators. Like Vita Vea is going to be ultra cheap next year, which is going to be fantastic. OJ, even for a tight end, the 5th-year option isn't that bad. And I think the 5th-year option for a center, even in 5 years, probably won't be that bad either. So that's where I think that 5th-year option, I think if you're going to take Dickerson, you take him at 32 just because you have that little bit extra protection. You can, like you said, move back, but then you have a Ronald Jones situation where it's, not a running back, but you only have 4 years. So you have to be ready to pay him after year 3. I'm surprised they haven't even locked down Carlton Davis even at this point.
Right.
Because if he has another good year, him hitting the market, it's just not even going to be fair. The Bucs wouldn't be able to afford it unless they pretty much just lock down him and Godwin and let, the Whitehead of the world, Jones, Howard, Fournette, Golston, that's a lot of names if you're going to keep Carlton Davis. So, and I think that's another point. Cornerback. What if they took a corner at 32? Is there any guys that you would like if they're there?
Also, I had to put out these little medical things.
Yeah, it's okay. He's gonna drop. He'll fall to 64. We'll get him then. It's fine.
If he drops to 64, that's a dub. I mean, I
Yeah.
think you run that pick in.
Yeah, I mean, he won't make it past 55 to Pittsburgh. But anyway, we did get a.
Well, if you move up, like let's say 10 picks from the second round, I think that only costs you like a fourth rounder, which we're okay giving up. I don't think a fourth rounder is really going to make this roster per se. So might be worth moving up 10 spots to be there.
Yeah, quick shout out to Fukurab. We appreciate that the super chat. Thank you so much, man. Glad you're in here. So hope you're enjoying it.
All right, so actually, since we're at the midway point, let's also give our sponsor a little shout out as well. Guys, you guys know we've been talking about it for a while now. So Symbol, the stock market for sports, really cool app. I mean, literally, you're trading your own favorite sports team. So if you want to know what it is, sports betting is rigged in favor of the sports books. Symbol is a long-term market to eliminate sports books' edge and give you back the upper hand. You can trade teams like stocks and earn cash every time your team wins. How does that work? Find your favorite team, a la the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hashtag going for two, earn win payouts. What does that mean? When you have the Buccaneers, they win 17-0, they go undefeated, you get a 50 cents per share that you own. And then it's a trade teams like stock markets type of deal, buy low, sell high, literally 24/7, 365 a year. If you want to know more, just click that little play button, watch it on YouTube. I mean, you're watching us on YouTube, might as well hit that play button. Other than that, really cool app. We got to know the owner of all this. I mean, he's really into it too, really animated. He's a Packers fan, so he didn't like us very much. But hey, it's a Buccaneer show. Let's keep going on. So let's get to the question that I know Ken's going to love.
Oh, God.
I got to go scroll back up. I got to scroll all the way back up. Where is this? Oh, here it is. Bucs Squad Podcast said, thoughts on what round will we target a running back now with Gio in the fold, third or later? Someone also even said, do we look at one at 32? What prospects do you like in that range? So initially,
that's a loaded question, man.
I guess just do you think we even look at a running back then? Let's make it easier.
I think if the right guy's in the third round, I mean, it depends on kind of how you feel about Vaughn. I mean, Vaughn, if you take a guy in round 3, it probably means you're not thinking too highly of him. But I think they might throw a day 3 guy in there. You know, injuries happen, especially at the running back position. You know, maybe a practice squad, 6th, 7th round guy. I nicknamed Snoop Dogg McPlaybook. I hate Joe Bucks fan, but when they called Jeremy McNichols that, I just can't not think of him when I hear that name. So someone like that, someone who could carve like a special, like a Dario Gumbawale, like if they're going to target a guy, like that's a day 3 guy, like they take a round 5 to round 7, man, whatever. Like I said, the day 3 guys probably aren't even going to make this roster to begin with. But I think that's where you just take a shot on someone. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, late round guys. I mean, we've done studies on like Kylan Hill, who could be a potential late round prospect that maybe you bring in. Demetric Felton might fall because of his size concerns.
And his athleticism concerns.
Yeah,
because
he's not very fast.
I've heard a lot of national. I mean, that's my thing is I listen to podcasts, so like that. So many national guys that I listen to are saying he might even go undrafted. And I think if he's an undrafted guy, I think the Bucs would be wise just to give him a shot. But that's also a guy you could just target round 6, round 7, just someone who can just come in, maybe find a role, play someone on, or practice squad, play someone on, heck, maybe even returner. I mean, that's someone I think the Bucs should target, around, day 3, get yourself a returner. Or if you get like a Rondale Moore, if that's what they want. I'm curious why they haven't, or maybe it's on AB side, why they haven't re-signed AB, but running back, I mean, I don't think running back, like I said, I think they're going to run the ball a lot just during the season because I think they're going to have, good amount of leads. We played the NFC and AFC East. So, I mean, there's like 6 games right in there where I think they're just going to run the ball and be successful. And then you just run some play action, not do too much. But I think when the postseason comes, it's going to be, explosion, putting up 30 points a game, kind of like we did at the end of the year last year. On our entire win streak, there wasn't one game where the Bucs scored under 30. Yeah. So, I mean, running back's great, but if you told me, like, let's say Rojo got hurt, if you told me we couldn't find someone on the street, like probably, I mean, there's going to be more cuts. That's what people, I think, don't fully get yet. Because in a normal year, I mean, like Leonard, playoff Lenny, got cut. I think a lot of teams are going to make cuts. And I think running back's going to be one of those positions. I mean, we even seen like guys like Todd Gurley not even be signed yet.
Yeah.
There's so many running backs still on the market.
Isn't
So,
James Conner free agent?
Yeah,
James Conner's still a free agent.
Yeah, he's visiting with Arizona. So,
God, why are they so high on running backs right now?
I don't know.
And then
John Gruden. They lost Kenyon Drake, did they?
Oh, they lost. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So no, John Gruden's the one who picked up Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
My goodness, thank God he's not on this staff. We are blessed we have BA.
Yeah.
I mean, my take on running back, I think Demetric Felton, because he ran a 4.6 40. They're like, oh, slow, he's a piece of crap. I mean, if you're a first, second day draft pick, it's because you're physical. You're at the top. Okay. There's a reason why you're getting drafted that high. After that, day 3, either it is because you have athletic traits or you fit a niche in the league. Demetric Felton, you have hands that good. You're a wide receiver playing running back. You can fit in. You're that third down back. You're that I can pick up a third down. I think he has a tremendous value in some running back room, some team, a la Patriots, 49ers, things like this, or Eagles, areas like that. I mean, I don't see us taking him now based on that. I mean, like you just said, how much more running backs can you add to this room? Maybe if he's a specialist, like you said, special teams, returner, that's an area we don't have anyone at.
Right. Or even like a gunner. Yeah. Any sort of because we don't have Ryan Smith anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So if you can find a specialty as in that, get in where you can fit in, and then eventually take over. Because I'm with you guys. I don't think Fournette is back next year, and I don't even think Rojo's back. I know that that's going to hurt some people. I mean, we just don't value paying him. I think Keyshawn Vaughn's just waiting for his time.
I think if any time is the draft a running back first round, I think it's next year, if I'm going to be quite honest, because I think that's like the final year or two of Brady. You know, if you make magic happen and push off contracts, get, some of those names that I named off back, then, you only have Keyshawn Vaughn in the backfield. Then if you shore up and you keep, let's say, 20 out of 22 starters, then it's like, okay, well, running back is looking pretty good right there. Just take it, and I'm sure there's going to be someone the way that I scout is, I mean, it gets harder and harder each year, and it's harder when you win the Super Bowl because I'm behind. I normally do a top 100 like every year. So I basically pick and choose players based off, local and, wide stream, like consensus. Because I just want to be able to, sharpen my own football knowledge, especially of the elite guys. I'm not the guy you talk to about, day 3 guys. That's where you two put on the work, and you all are my resources. So because I mean, these guys take so long to scout. I'm only on the top 70 right now. Normally at this time, I'm 100 and I'm chilling. I'm playing with the mock draft machines and I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can only pick and choose. And I think this year, especially with the Bucs going in so many places, it's hard to really pinpoint. Like last year, I mean, I basically spent 60% of my time studying the top 100 prospects solely on tackles. Day 1, day 2 tackles.
Yeah.
And this year it's so wide open. It's hard to really narrow down where the Bucs are going to go. And like I said, I'm at 70 out of top 100. I'm trying to get the 100. We have 3 weeks left before the draft, or 2.5 at this point. Is it
2.5? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I'm losing time and I'm losing sleep. But there's so much quality stuff that you all put out, and there's so many great resources for everyone. You don't have to just rely on the Todd McShays, the Mel Kipers. If you do that, I think honestly you're doing it wrong.
They talk a lot of nonsense, and I
don't think they watch tape. I really don't think they watch. I think they maybe watch some full college games, or like, okay, they take notes, because that's kind of what, when they talk, I get that vibe from them, because they only, like, when I talk, I mainly talk about the top 100 guys. I rarely hear them talk about anyone not top 100, and maybe they throw out, like, on a podcast or on ESPN, some day 3, studs that are probably round 4 picks.
Yeah.
Like they don't know the draft inside and out, like, you guys do, the Draft Network. There's so many good resources for
have a lot of video packages already geared up, but Mark will tell you, I found Ryan Smith, and I still take credit for that because I wrote an article on him. I was out on him way early, and the Bucs ended up taking him. So I always give Mark crap about that I am the better scout when it comes to day 3. Mark is probably the better one when it comes to early guys. He's pretty good on that. He nails it. But
I have a question for both of you while we're on this topic. Who is one guy that you knew and identified and the Bucs took, and that was your guy?
Vita Vea.
Boom, right there.
Yeah, Vita Vea
Both
all day. Vita Vea
see, we need to have a talk about this. Like Vita, for me, I liked Vita because him and White, I think, have on film a lot of similarities in the sense that their highs are as high as anyone else, but there was a lot of inconsistencies. So at first, I mean, I wasn't a Derwin James guy, for instance, for Vita, and I was actually for Devin White. I was a Josh Allen guy. I've done my apology tours with Gene. He got his for Ryan Suckup. Mine's for Devin White because, man, what he played in the playoffs. For me, it was actually Mike Edwards because, like I said, I was a Josh Allen guy watching that Kentucky defense. I think Jordan Whitehead is great, and I think in a sub linebacker role, I think even more so for other teams than the Bucs, I think he could really excel. But to me, Mike Edwards was that guy who could do a little bit. He's not Antoine Winfield as a center fielder, but he's a pretty darn good center fielder. But he can also come down in the box and maybe not lay Jordan Whitehead's wood, but lay good enough to make someone know that like he's there. So when they took him round 3, I mean, I loved him and Dean, honestly, that draft more than I did Devin White. And I got a lot of shit for that. A whole lot of shit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Mark will tell you, we weren't high on Devin White either. I mean, it's.
Oh, really? Who was your guy that you wanted? Were you Ed Oliver guys?
We liked Ed Oliver. I mean, we really wanted them to trade down and just pick up Devin Bush. We thought Devin Bush was the better linebacker than value. And we thought, if you could trade back, we could probably still pick up Devin White. But
so you guys weren't Cleveland Farrell guys?
No, no. No.
I remember being at the stadium and go, what a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
No, so there was these stories that Mike Mayock would go out to dinner with like his daughter, and he would have his scout notebook with him for the draft that year, and he would have it under lock and key. The Raiders kicked all of the scouts out of their facility. Yeah. Great story. I forgot, maybe Daniel Jeremiah, someone was talking about this because he's really close with Mike because of the NFL Network stuff. But apparently they were under lock and key and everything. No one could have guessed who their pick was going to be. And let me tell you, they were right because it was Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a fun year. I mean, we were high on Quinnen Williams. We love Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, there's no way he was going to be there, though. Right. And I'm glad that he's finally playing up to his snuff because that first year for him was rough.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's going to be in a better scheme now. I'm sorry, Mark.
Yeah. He was picked right before us, right? That's why we traded down.
He was picked 2 or 3.
He was picked 3. We didn't trade down. We stayed at 5.
Farrell was 4. Yeah, and we stayed at 5 for Devin.
You're talking about Quinn Nelson draft.
Oh, Quinn Nelson. That was
Vita Vea. Yeah,
that's where we.
Oh, if we got Quinnen was my guy that draft. Oh, yeah. If we got him, I mean, I thought he was so good that you could play him at left tackle. I'm just gonna be honest.
Like, we had like a list of like 5 elite players,
and we were right behind all of them.
It was in there, and like I was like,
even if they got Saquon, I wouldn't have been mad. I thought Saquon was that good. I mean, I'm not saying that. I think he is one of the few guys that you take, given our. I mean, think of how we were in 2018. Like, I think he could have done a really good job. Maybe make Dirk Cutter actually look a little bit better. Yeah. But everything worked out. I think we got the most valuable player in that draft.
Yeah.
I mean, Vita Vea coming back, that was a game changer, man.
Yeah, Vita was fun.
So I mean, so to me, this thing, the draft, it's always fun. Whoever's predicting what's going to happen in 32, get out of here. Not going to know. No one's
unless your name's Adam Schefter.
I mean, you get that correct, you should have already played the lottery like every day because that's ridiculous. I mean, if you're expecting us to say who it's going to be, that's why we're putting out so many guys out there just to get around the ballpark. Hopefully, how the hell do we know Tristan Wirfs is going to get drafted? I don't know. Last year, we just knew he was going to be a tackle. That's our need we had, so we looked at it.
Do you remember all the people who said he was going to be a guard?
I knew he was going to be a tackle just based on athleticism, but I guess they just didn't coach him up well at all. Because his tape in college was not the greatest. He was very loosey-goosey, like would get beat inside a lot. Literally, night and day. It was night and day different. Yeah. Crazy how good he got.
Shaq and JPP will do that for you. So
it's true.
That's something people don't talk. And also, I mean, Sue even sometimes plays a 5.
Right.
I mean, he's going against probably 3 of like the different kinds of skill sets you need to be able to go up against. And doing that for literally 3 months is kind of helpful. Actually, no, forgot COVID offseason. You only had like a month, which makes it more impressive.
Yeah. Dude's a stud. Yeah, dude's a stud. But yeah, Vita Vea was that was a fun one. We were on him, I think, early December, January. We put out an article on him. It was one of our biggest. It was our biggest articles ever. And yeah, I mean, we were so ecstatic when he was the pick. We traded back, and I was like, "Mark, we're taking Vita Vea," and he was like, "No, we're not." I was like, "Yes, we are."
So, do you guys scout during the season?
We try to. I mean, this past year, no. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, this past year.
Yeah, COVID made everything's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm asking because it's hard for me to scout college during the year, just because I don't want to be. I'm lucky to not have a college affiliate. I mean, I went to Bucknell. It's not like I went to Florida Gators, Florida State. Like I went to Bucknell. Like I don't have that big of a college, so it makes me, I think, a little bit easier to watch college games. But like I don't know what y'all's college affiliation is, but during the season it's so hard to scout college games, man.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you have to really be paying attention.
Yeah, there's a lot of games going on. You either have to have a whole room with TVs, and you have to have all the games on. You have to do something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a process. But yeah, the whole scouting. I mean, this what we're doing now is just really fun. I think we're really enjoying
your system works, and I want to tell you both as a fan. I mean, even before I was on with Gene, I used to watch your guys' stuff. I mean, what you guys do is top tier in the NFL community, let alone the Bucs community. And I just want to make sure that you both do that, because I'm sure you get that in the comment section a bunch. But I mean, I'm as big a fan of you guys as I am pretty much anyone else, because if there's a day 3 guy, like I said, that I don't know anything about, I trust you two. And to me, that it takes a lot to earn my trust when it comes to football, because a lot of people throw out a lot of nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you.
There's a lot of nonsense, and we try to cut that out. It's all about, it's trying to put, the logic in there, and sometimes we put some nonsense in there. But usually that's Mark's side, but we
it is on purpose too.
Yeah. It's all fun. It's all fun, and that's why we're a good team. But it's I mean, wouldn't have it either. Any other way. It's the way to scout. So glad you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, so let's keep going down the road. So let's see. So Praj P, he's late to the.
Oh man, AB's biggest fan.
Right, this is why Bernard and not an AB.
He loves Antonio
AB
Brown.
apparently has an offer out there.
Yeah,
I mean, it can't be for much because obviously he hasn't signed it. But what other offer does he really have at this point? And you have a court date in December. Man, that's right before the playoffs. What Seattle team is gonna send you an offer like that in general? Because Seattle, I mean, they're about to lose Russell Wilson at this point.
That's why they're Wilson.
And that's what Russell Wilson wants, and they still aren't offering him. So that tells you what other teams think about AB.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think AB's just waiting. Yeah, exactly.
Wait for the best offer. I mean, there's no rush.
Business is a business. Yeah, that's a great comment. So, yeah, I think he's just waiting out, and maybe he just wants to, sign when training camp rolls around, and maybe miss out on off-season work. I don't know.
I don't think there's going to be off-season work.
Right.
I think they're going to go whole. I don't like it. I mean, at least play tag. I mean, that's what I call 7-on-7. But play tag, offensive linemen. That's the time where you get to chum it up. Offensive line, dinners, in high school and college. That's what I remember most about my experiences. So those guys, I mean, being around linemen, they're weird. They're like kickers. They're like weird dudes. Weird dudes. Kickers and punters don't go to meetings. They hang around in the locker room. They play weird games. Offensive linemen play weird games. We're always doing weird stuff. I want that chemistry. That more so than I want whatever they do on the field, because I think as we saw in the playoffs, I mean, this team is still even far from its potential.
Right.
So I just want any sort of chemistry to be locked in. And hopefully, you know, shout out to Berkeley Prep. Hopefully they have some more things going on. And if I ever hear anything, I'll let y'all know.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, so they were asking about, or still Prosper's really pushing for AB. I mean, we mentioned multiple shows about saying, I mean, you're slowing the development of Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. Yes, AB is valuable for what he does, especially if you're going to go for that for kind of thing. But it's still like, I mean,
it's insurance.
Yeah, it's insurance. But it's like, do you think Godwin and Evans get hurt yet again the same way they did?
I think you're going to look more probably at trench injuries. I think is if you're going to play the law of averages.
Yeah,
I guess
whether that be offensive or defensive.
Landon Dickerson crowd.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, even like, I mean, when was the last time Sue got injured in his career? Like, I mean, JPP, something pops up preseason every year, it seems now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really never know. But I'm just playing the law of averages. Maybe it's, you know, running back, maybe it's offensive line, maybe it's, I mean, safety got the bug last year, but maybe it's cornerback next year. Right. I mean, everything finds a way to even itself out in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Oh God, I knew you were going to bring up that on.
It was a
that's a great meme though. That's a fantastic meme.
No, he's retired. He's not coming back.
I just had to.
Well, he's not going to play slot. And I mean, people don't realize that Edelman plays more outside, even in New England, even when Tom was there, than he does as a slot receiver. But he ain't playing outside or slot in our system. I mean, if he was, you know, AQ Shipley and came down here to coach, bring him home. Like, bring him in. If he wants to sign for $1 million, bring him in. Because at that point, I mean, but you're not giving him $5 million. You're not, you're not sacrificing. I think we're a stronger team with Scotty Miller as the number 3 receiver. But I think Scotty and Tyler Johnson watching AB on the field and in the film room, strictly on the field, not talking off the field,
right?
Strictly on the field makes them better receivers because we saw the difference between an Antonio Brown out route versus a Justin Watson out route last year. One's a completion for 10 to 12 yards, and the other one's a pick 6 twice.
Yeah. And he didn't play after that.
At all.
But yeah, no, those are great points. I'm in the boat. Like if AB's back. If he's not, you know, it's okay. Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson are going to take that next step and be just fine. But yeah, a lot of good stuff in the chat. I think, you know, I see some trade up options. I like it, you know, going for, you know, like we talked about, either Jalen Phillips or even Azeez Ojulari. I would love if we could trade up for that guy. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting scenarios. You know, in the back of my mind, I'm still hoping for Landon Dickerson, but I don't. You know, I'm gonna get off that train. I know, Mark. I know.
Well, as long as 3 of our first 4 picks are trenches of any sort, or even front 7 for the defense, I would be happy because I think those are the places that you just need to replace talent. And, you know, whether it be Landon Dickerson, I mean, this is a strong tackle class, but it's also a strong tackle to guard class. So it's whoever they decide. And I trust Light at this point. I think Light got a bad rap, you know, with Mike Smith and Dirk Cutter. But I think what we've seen with Light is he works with his staff to get them what they want. Except for Vita Vea. I think that was his fuck you to Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith.
Pretty much.
Because he didn't fit shit. Because Duran wouldn't fit either, but Vita did not fit a 4-3, you know,
right.
Soft coverage defense. That's not what he's there for.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, exactly right. And, you know, I think there was a question earlier in the chat about, you know, basically yeah, there you go.
Come on, man, John
is on it. Man. John is on it. I love it. But there's a question, you know, about Caleb Farley and, you know, his injury history. And if he falls to 32 by some miracle, I mean, it's hard to pass up someone like that. You know, I think you take him.
Too many corner needy teams.
Yeah. Do you take that risk? You know, even with the back injury, you know, maybe it's more, I mean, obviously he's more talented than a Landon Dickerson and he plays a more premium position. So
There you go, right there.
Yeah.
John at it again. Taking with 30 to alleviate the Davis Dean SMB dilemma. What is there really a dilemma though?
Well,
I don't think it's a dilemma.
It's just contracts. I mean, it's just, Carlton's coming up next year. I think they're going to re-sign Carlton, but just adding another talent like that in the cornerback room never, hurts a team. I think that always helps you. So, and it just gives you more flexibility.
Yeah, because I mean, you're going to only keep one of Dean and Murphy Bunting when the time comes. You can't sign them both, and especially, with his class. I mean, he's the Devin White class, right? Like Devin White's the kind of guy who's going to probably sign after year 3, year 4. They're going to give him the buku money, whether we like it or not. I mean, he's a guy who's basically Levante 3 years from now is going to be, near the end, if not the end of his career. Devin White's basically, if by the time Tom Brady, let's say, wins us another 1 or 2, Devin White might be that Bobby Wagner perennial all pro, just off of reputation type of, because I think even now Devin's getting more national attention than Levante, which I still don't understand. But
yeah.
Rah-rah, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
He's louder he talks.
Well, he gets the fumbles that Levante creates.
Right, yeah. He's
Winfield creates.
Yeah, that is true. But
camera, I'll say that.
Yeah.
He's got the camera look, I guess. But he rides a horse.
Okay, I need Devin Wright riding a horse pregame to open the season next year. Let's start a petition. Let's make it happen. Him coming out of the tunnel
with the trophy
style, just coming out
with the trophy in hand. Yes.
Oh God, I would pay all kinds of money to be down in Tampa to see that.
Yeah.
Now stay away. We need to win.
No, only playoff game.
Okay.
They beat the Lions 52-7 the last time I was in Tampa, and they had a Bucs game.
That's awesome.
Touche.
Whatever that score was.
I'll do.
But then again, I think that any team would have beat the Lions that particular day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not Steve Smith disbelief, but how has he not been canceled? I'm just going to throw that out there.
They can't find anyone else. They lost all their talent at NFL Network. I mean, they lost, Marshall
they had
Falk.
Talent?
Well, they had some. I mean, Marshall Falk. Yeah.
Yo, Michael Irvin, speaking of talent, became my guy. Did you see those hype talks he was putting during the postseason for the Bucs?
He was hyping them up, that's for sure.
The one that chose the Bucs. The only
Yeah. But he was on the pirate ship, and then the ship was going off, and he was surprised and just went off. And I was like, "That Irvin, I didn't like you as a player." And I mean, he was actually pretty good in the longest yard. Not gonna lie, but like, I didn't really like him that much. But now he's probably my favorite NFL Network guy, other than like Daniel Jeremiah. But even then, I think Daniel Jeremiah is kind of becoming Todd McShay and Mel Kiper to me a little bit, because I mean, he got a lot. He's the guy who won, I think, the draft last year because he was on ESPN, NFL Network, ABC, I think, was the third network that hosted the draft.
He was everywhere. So, but yeah, they did have some talent. I mean, people forget they used to have Adam Schefter on NFL Network. So,
see, I didn't have a Twitter back then. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Schefter used to work for NFL Network, and then he went to ESPN, and they had a lot of
paid him.
Yeah, they had a lot of talent back then. Marshall Falk, and they had Dion, and obviously they left. So they had.
Was Kurt Warner there?
Kurt Warner's still there, but he was late. He was a recent addition, but yeah. Anyway, Mark. Yeah, I don't like Steve Smith. That's for sure. I think he should not be on the TV. But
I think he's gotten the correct take. I just don't think he has yet.
Yeah.
But how can you throw that? I'm going to call it a tantrum, even though it probably wasn't a tantrum. How can you throw that tantrum on national television? Because remember, the NFL, put that game on NFL Network on purpose.
Yeah.
That wasn't on, ABC. I was in Tampa at the time of that Lions game. There was not on any. I had to pull up my computer, somehow, because I had Spectrum, that I was able to pull it up and on my laptop, and then I had to find an HDMI cord to get it in and be able to watch it on a TV. That's what they did, instead of me being in Tampa, being able to watch it like on TV. So they did that, and then he took that platform to do that. And they did make him make a public apology, but I think that apology was bullshit. Yeah. But I'm not saying terminate his contract, but like, that dude should take some time watch some film, then come back.
Right.
Maybe they're just making him to be the bad guy, like wrestling or something. Not maybe just WrestleMania's in my mind.
There it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's the bad guy. Let's just make him the scapegoat kind of. Oh, he's an idiot. What an idiot.
Yeah,
Well,
ESPN does that. Yeah, ESPN.
Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith back in First Take was built off of Tim Tebow. Them just debating Tim Tebow for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because that was my senior year of high school when that show like became viral. And every other show, it seems like, obviously they're skipping Shannon. First Take has Max Kellerman now, who doesn't watch actual sports other than boxing, yet is a analyst.
Yeah, it's bad. Stick to boxing, but he doesn't even know boxing. But
every sports show is that it's a debate. It's producers who create content. Pat McAfee, remember, he was on all these ESPN shows, and then they kind of just cut him off,
right?
Because they realized just talking, sense is not good for business.
No. And that's what sports radio does now, and it's crazy. The sports radio here does the same thing, and it's just not very good. Not good content.
That's why you go to Real Bucs Talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
They also pay me for my ads. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what I'm saying. Like me and Gene, we that's kind of like our movement is to get people to watch you guys, watch Loose Cannons. Heck, even Pewter Report, even though they report stuff, like they actually put out quality content. Like you have John Ledyard, you have these different personalities, you have you two, you have, the Loose Cannons. All you have to do is say ranch around them and you're going to get exiled and, Bath and blue cheese. Like, there's so many ways in the Bucs community to be a fan, but also get your knowledge. And I think that's where I think all of our podcasts in general, that's where I think we all meet. And I think that's where we're part of the Bucs Report family. There's a lot of really good content out there that are local that people just need to, get on, become part of the community. There's so many people just on Twitter that you can meet, through these different networks.
No doubt. Well, man, this has been fun. It's been already an hour already. It's
Gene
crazy.
says I'm a curse because every time I talk, it's an hour and a half goes by.
No, you're fine, man. No, it was great. It was great having you on. And again, we went a little long with the Landon Dickerson, and that's my fault. I love him that much as a prospect.
But that's the kind of stuff we need to talk about, though.
I know, and I just like giving Mark a hard time. But Ken, let everyone know how they can find you. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, Bucs_Barrett on Twitter. Very simple. I try to, reach everyone the best I can. It's hard to reach out to all of you whenever y'all comment on my stuff, but speak to me, talk to me about sports. Like, this is what I do. We have bring logic. If you're going to say something, if you're going to come against me, be prepared for me to come back and, put some logic on you. So let's have a good, educated debate.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for everything. It was an awesome show. Everyone, thank you in the chat. Y'all are bringing some heat today. And thank you again, Furu Kawab. Awesome, as always. Thank you very much. We're very appreciative. On that, guys, until next Monday, and as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs, everyone. Everyone have a great night.